Alright, so here we are. I'm just going to spend a few minutes to give you an overview of the navigation systems on the bike and the safety systems that we've got on the bike. It's a question that I always get asked a lot about. Covered a little bit last year, but let's do a little bit more this year. So first of all, obviously the primary thing that we've got on the bike is the road book. So this is the road book holder, and inside the piece of paper is the road book. Now the road book, as you can see, it's got the directions for the liaison starting, so it typically has a distance, a tulip diagram or an indicator of where we need to go on the road, and then as much information in the last column that we need, like quit the road, or maybe it's over some dunes, or it's round a building or something like that. So all the information for the whole stage is there. In order to move that on and to progress it, there's a switch here, it's electronic. You can go forwards and you can go backwards, so forwards or backwards with it. So that's the road book, so that's your direction. I like to have a watch on my road book there, just so that I know what time it is in the stage, so I can get a feel for whether it's midday, if I'm drinking enough, what I've been doing, etc, etc. So I have a watch there. Now, how do you know where you are in the stage in terms of trip distance? Well, that's what these two computers are for here. So if we just turn these two on, what we've got here is a digital trip computer for micro racing, and it's really good, highly visible, big numbers, so you can always see it, and it's run from wheel sensors. I choose to use wheel sensors instead of GPS. The wheel sensor then sends a signal to this, and it keeps a distance. Now, the only thing with a wheel sensor you have to do over GPS is that you have to you anticipate the terrain. So if it's sand, then the wheel doesn't move quite as far. If it's rock and hard pack, then it's usually pretty good and accurate, but you kind of get used to that after a while. But the main thing is to keep that in sync with the road book, so keep your trip in sync with the road book and in sync with where you are on the track. We have a second trip computer down here, because without a trip computer you're screwed basically, so we have a backup down at the bottom there. Now, moving on to the GPS unit. Like, this is not a navigation unit like most people think. This is the organisation's GPS unit. It sits here in the middle of the handlebars. You can turn it on here. Lots of information on here. So at the moment it tells me that it's still from yesterday, so it's just saying that I've got 14 out of 14 waypoints. It's telling me what control I'm at, it's telling me okay, 100%, I did everything properly, and it's got lots of other information on there. But you don't, as a competitor, we don't see this information. We don't actually see this information until we've completed the stage. It's like the organisation keep a tight hold of it. So all we see on here is that we've got the right waypoints, and that maybe if you use the trip distance on this, you can use the trip computer on this. I choose not to. I really just use this for waypoints, telling me when I'm at a waypoint or near a waypoint, and when I'm at a waypoint, depending which type of waypoint it is. That's a whole different lesson, is that one. I choose to have all my antennas for all the devices here in the middle, because it's safer for if you have an accident. And yeah, we'll move on to the next piece of kit. So on here we can see there's a speaker, a sounder speaker. This is the Sentinel warning system. So this is a warning system to tell you if there's a bike or a vehicle coming towards you the wrong way on the track, or if there's something coming behind you like a car or a truck. So you'll get a really loud sounding noise. It's also used to help us control our speed in any speed zones. So that's a really key piece of equipment for us to keep us safe. It does all kinds of things, like there's some systems on the bike that if I fall down and I'm behind a dune or something, it will warn other vehicles coming. There's a bike on the ground stationary, so it's for our own safety, all of this equipment. The other thing that's connected to the GPS is what I call, well, it's called a compass repeater, and that's this device up here, this ERTF repeater. This repeats the compass heading that we're on, and what it does, it stops me having to look down at the GPS device when I'm riding, so it's much safer because I can keep looking forwards and just glance down at the top of my nav tower like this, instead of actually having to put my head down so I can't see the terrain. Okay, so to control both trip computers as well as the road book, we've got this switch down here. It's my own switch I designed, and the idea is that I never have to take my hand off the handlebars. So this one here is for the primary computer up here, so you can see it nudging along if I change the switch here, and then this second bank is for the one down at the bottom here, so I can cycle through have it on whatever I want it on, and also adjust the distance on that. So the whole controls is done through my left handlebar here. And the last thing is the Iritrack system. This is probably one of the most important systems in terms of safety on the bike. So this device here, this blue hefty box we've got here, is the Iritrack, and on it you'll see some coloured buttons. So there's a red button, blue button, a green button, a yellow button. Yellow is just on and off. Green is okay. So if you have an accident and you're okay, you just need to fix something on the bike, it's important to press the green button to notify the organisation that you're okay. If you need to speak to the organisation because you come up against an injured rider or something like that, or you need to contact them, you can press the blue button and you can speak to the organisation in France. So there's a telephone inside here and you can speak to them and they can have a conversation to try and figure out what to do for the best. And the red button is an alarm. Now this is if there's a serious injury. So if there's an injury and you have to call the organisation quickly, the first thing that you do is hit that red button. So if you come across an injured rider, hit the red button. It's really important to get them treated as soon as possible, get the helicopter to them as soon as possible. So that's what that system does. It allows the organisation to monitor where we are and locate us so that the helicopter can just come straight to us and find us if we need them. In addition to that, there's a little device called a small track device that's hidden away in the navigation tower, so I can't really show you, but it's a backup to this device. So if there's any issues with that, if it's damaged or it's not working because there's some wires damaged or something like that, any problem, you can use the small track device as a backup. And then in addition to that, we have an emergency beacon. So if all else fails, fire your emergency beacon off and the organisation can come find you. That's pretty much probably just for if you get lost in the desert, so hopefully we're not going to need that today. So that's it. Other than my GoPros on the top of the nav tower to bring the whole story along to you guys, that's all the navigation stuff on the bike. So today we've got 270 kilometers, we should go and bang it out.